All right, how is everyone doing tonight? Hello there, class and students. It is Thursday, October the 20th, currently 9 o'clock Central Time here in Silico. It is time for You Know It, PLAR History and Geography here at WASA, Term 1A, Week 7. Again, my name is Jonathan, and I am your teacher for this course. Since this is Week 7, there are only 2 weeks left after today's class. So we got week 8 and week 9, and that's it. So we're almost done the term. I am definitely feeling a lot better today than I was on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll have a lot more energy in terms of today's class. Couple of announcements to start things off before we get started. I have been mentioning a lot that I've been going to Big Trout, and yes, I will be going to Big Trout next week. So again, students, class, feel free to jot this down, post a little reminder. I will send a little email out tomorrow to all the DC and the tech unit and everyone else to remind everyone that yes, myself and Barbara Tuzik will be traveling to Big Trout next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, so that will be October the 25th to Wednesday the 26th. Okay, so that's Tuesday and Wednesday. Little day trip, day and a bit kind of thing. So I'll be leaving here in town Suco Tuesday at noon, and I'll be back here on Wednesday in Suco at noon-ish as well. So again, just a reminder, next week, myself and Barb and Tuzik will be going to Big Trout for our term community visit. Once again, I'm excited. I've never been to Big Trout. Look forward to meeting Robin, the DC over there, meeting different community members, students. So again, come on out. We'll be hosting a little open house at the Learning Center in Big Trout. We'll have lots of food as always, probably some prizes as well. Again, if anyone needs any help with their assignments or any of the coursework, doesn't necessarily have to be PLAR history, geography, just bring it on out. Myself and Bar will be more than happy to help you guys out. So again, we'll be spending the night there in Big Trout, and I'll be back here in town in Silico Wednesday at noon. With that being said, since I'm gone on Tuesday, we won't be having class on Tuesday. Okay, so again, this is another little announcement in terms of class switch or flop. So again, myself and Andrea, Andrea was kind enough and flexible enough to help us out. So again, next week, Andrea will be doing her classes, PLAR English, Monday and Tuesday, and I'll be doing my class Wednesday and Thursday. So again, feel free to jot this out. I will send a little email out to DC, post it on my Facebook status and all that fun stuff. But again, since we're live right now, all my students, just a reminder, Andrea will be having a class on Monday and Tuesday for English, PLAR English. And I'll be doing my class Wednesday and Thursday. Yes, I will be back in time. Hopefully I won't get stuck in Big Trout, that is. I'll be doing history and geography Wednesday and Thursday, little back-to-back classes. All right. So again, Andrea will remind all of her students on Monday that she'll be doing back-to-back classes on Monday and Tuesday. So in other words, we'll be just swapping Tuesdays and Wednesdays slots. Again, rest of the week is the same. But again, Andrea, PLAR English, Monday, Tuesday next week. Jonathan's myself, History, Geography, Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Okay? So those are the two little announcements I have for tonight. Again, my community visit, Big Trout, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll be having class, History, Geography, Wednesday and Thursday. Same time at 9 o'clock sharp Central Time here in Silico at Wassa. Okay there. Are there any questions, confusion? Again, I will send an email out to all the DECs so that they can remind you guys. I'll post it on my Facebook status, and Anja will remind her students of this on Monday as well. Okay. Again, I will make this announcement near the end of today's class. I will wrap things up. But again, this is what's in store for next week. Awesome. Again, back on track. If you want to call in and listen, again, just call the Wausau studio. Again, feel free to get in touch with me at any point, any time when I'm in my office. Just give me a call during my office hours, extension 2221, or just ask for Jonathan, PLAR History Geography teacher. Send me an email if you have an email. Just fire that off. Make use of social media, Facebook. Just add me as a friend at jhowasa. Again, most students by now in this term have added me as a friend, which is awesome. Again, you can always keep me as a friend, or you can simply just delete me at the end of this term if you wish, or once you have done this course. But again, feel free to add me as a friend, jhowasa. We can always communicate that way if you have any questions or need any help with that as well. Again, always I post whatever class the next day on my YouTube channel, and you can find the same thing on the Wausau archive page as well on the NNEC website page. All right. Let's get started with today's class. Again, we're looking at lesson number 5, geography. We'll continue in looking at physical geography. Again, today we got a couple more definitions to go over, a couple more topics to look at, and then we'll be looking at assignment 13, which means that next week we'll be looking at assignment 14, 15, and then week 9, 16, and then we'll wrap things up by looking at a few examples in terms of your test and your test or your exam, in terms of what you can expect on the very last day of the class. Kind of like a little review session of that. But today, let's get to our learning goals. Again, keeping in mind that we're always looking at physical geography. So again, I'm going to write this out. Again, your learning goals or your expectations just simply means what the class will be able to understand and learn by the end of the lessons or end of today's class. So we'll be starting by looking at what is a functional region. Again, just more definitions. I'll give a class example based on national parks that relates to functional region. Then we'll be looking at weather and climate. Again, two terms that may sound something similar but have two complete definitions in a way. So we'll define weather and then we'll define climate. And lastly, ecozones. Kind of a big topic in regards to your assignments. ecozones in regards to different types of ecozones here in Canada. And like I said, we'll be looking at assignment 13. And we're almost done the course. There are 16 assignments in all for this course, so we're moving along very, very nicely. And I forgot, there's one more topic, trees. Knew I forgot something, trees. We'll be looking at different types of trees, deciduous trees and coniferous trees, and I will link that back into some indigenous content as well. Yes, that is what we have in store for tonight. Functional region, weather, climate, trees, ecozones, assignment 13. Okay. So again, hopefully everyone has their workbook and the textbook in front of them. As I open up Smart Bridget. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now and then. All right. Functional region. This starts on page 47 in your textbook. Again, feel free to utilize your textbook, highlight, underline, circle, whatever you feel is important, as it may help in regards to working on your assignment. So functional region, again, you'll see it in your assignment. So I'm going to underline it, put a star beside it. So a functional region is defined as finds and often around a center or focal point. Okay, it can be absolutely anything in terms of how it relates around a center or a focal point. Again, we defined what is a region last class. So a functional region is a region that has a focal point. Okay, something that makes it stand out, something that has significance. So examples of functional region can be any national or provincial parks or parks in general. So it could be Banff National Park in Alberta, or it could be Quebec Falls, which is just outside of Thunder Bay. So any center or focal point can be defined as a region. Again, a region is defined as something or a set of common characteristics, something that has in common, something that makes it stand out. It could be many different factors in terms of a region, but a functional region is a particular area that has a center or focal point. Okay, something that makes it stand out, something where people want to come and check out and visit. Hence why it could be any parks, national parks, provincial parks, or just parks in general. So again, it could be Banff National Park, it could be Quebec Falls, it could be Ojibwe Park, which is just down the road from here in Silicon. Again, just so many different examples. So again, national parks is an example of a functional region. Again, we gave the class lots of examples last class on regions, but a functional region could be national parks. I have decided to use this example as a national parks in terms of functional region because national parks makes up about 10% of the land use in Canada. Okay, so 10% of Canada are national parks. Obviously, some national parks are bigger than others, but again, it makes up 10% of Canada. There are 39 national parks here in Canada. It is great for tourism, ecological, and ecosystem. Great for protection, hence why it's national parks where we want to protect it, preserve it, conservation. It provides great knowledge, understanding of how we appreciate its breathtaking scenery, as each national park has its own significance in a way, and even tell some Aboriginal knowledge and stories as well. So again, national parks, very important, very significant. Next year, as Canada turns 150, I believe that all national parks will be absolutely free next year. I believe that announcement was made earlier this year. So I believe all national parks will be free starting next year. Again, just an example of a functional region. Something that stands out, something has a center, something has a focal point. Okay, functional region. All right, we're gonna look at weather and climate. It relates to trees. It relates to what we talked about last class in terms of different places around where we live and how we function based on climate and regional diversity. So we're going to kind of go back and look at climate and weather and define these two. So weather and climate, let's start off by looking at weather. Weather is defined as the day-to-day condition of the atmospheric conditions, okay, conditions of the air in a particular place on a particular date. In other words, you can ask yourself what it is like outside right now in your community, okay? Or what it was like outside earlier in your community. Again, it could be examples of temperature, sun, windy, snow, rain, cloudy, and other factors as well. So for example, I can pull up the weather network since we can. So let's pull that up and we can actually look at the weather here in Silico. Obviously today was not a very warm day. It was not very sunny. But as of right now, okay, when we're looking at weather, it is 1 degrees, feeling like -1 here in Silico. Okay, so again, going back to our definition of what is weather, it's a day-to-day condition of the atmospheric conditions. Basically, the current moment of what it's like outside at right now, at a particular point in time. Okay, I like to call weather the short-term condition because weather can constantly change hourly. Okay, so weather is very unique as it changes. So let's go back to our weather network page and we scroll down and look at our 5-day forecast or so, 7-day forecast. So again, here in Silico, it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow. Whether that's true or not, we'll see, but it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow with a high degree of 7. And it's supposed to be in the low single digits with a few sun and mix of clouds within the next couple of days, even to next week. Meteorologists studies the atmosphere with the use of information, how they analyze and forecast the weather. This is useful because it helps us. It helps drivers, how we commute to different locations, to our learning centers, and so forth. Helps for travelers like myself, where I'll be traveling to Big Trout next week. and just great knowledge for everyday people. As it's just something that we have in common, that we talk to one another with, and just great to know how we can dress, stay warm, and enjoy the sunshine if needed. So hopefully that definition of weather, you can take that into account and analyze what it's like in your community right now. Feel free to let me know if any of your community has snow, for example. Again, that could be another factor as well. Here in Silico, we had not much snow, but we had some wet snow early on in a couple of weeks or so, but nothing have accumulated and stayed on the ground. But again, winter is coming and it's just around the corner. So that's weather. Again, short-term conditions, temperature, sun, wind, snow, rain, cloudy, what it's like at a particular place, particular date. This is slightly different in terms of climate. Climate can be classified as the long-term condition. Okay, something I like to call long-term. Weather is short-term. Climate is long-term. Okay, so don't get confused. That's how I like to summarize it. But climate is defined as the average weather condition of over an entire year. Okay, entire year period. Even centuries, even decades. Okay, is the average weather of a year, century, or a decade. The average weather of an area, it does not describe any particular place, date, or event. So, for example, winter in Sulaco, we can have a temperature of plus 30 on one particular date. If that somehow happens, that does not affect the climate because it does not really take into account that particular date of one day. It is the average weather condition of their entire year. Okay, so I need to have a long-term dramatic effect for that to change. So, for example, the Arctic region, okay, it has cold climate. The Sahara Desert is a warm, dry desert that is particularly warm. Okay, we know that based on evidence, based on facts, that we know that based on average, that entire year period in the calendar is the same throughout. Okay, weather and climates right there. Okay, so don't get too confused, don't get too caught up in it. Again, how I like to distinguish the two is that I like to call weather the short-term condition of what it's like on a particular day. Climate is the long-term condition over an entire year. Okay, over an entire year, even decades or century. Okay, the average weather. All right. Questions? Questions? So hopefully we'll have a better understanding of what weather and climate is. I believe that can help you on assignment number 9 after it asks a question in terms of weather. So hopefully that helps out. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next topic of trees. Oh yes, trees. Always an interesting topic when we talk about trees. Don't know why, just something interesting. Page 48, page 47 in your textbook. 47, 48 in your textbook. Just like rocks, let's talk about trees. I'm going to talk about two types of trees. Coniferous and deciduous. Coniferous trees and deciduous trees. Two different types of trees. So let's start off by looking at coniferous trees and find those characteristics. I think after these next two slides, we'll definitely have a good understanding of what is coniferous trees and deciduous trees. So coniferous trees or coniferous forests, if you like to call it that, are trees that has needles, that has cones. So if you see a tree in your community as you're driving by or walking by, and you see that that tree has needles, or a cone, or a pine cone, or any cone for that matter, it is a coniferous tree. Coniferous tree. Produce cones, again, has needles like. Again, note the different characteristics that it has or it has. It often thrives in cold temperature. It stays green all year long, hence why it's called evergreen. So even at this point in time where seasons are slowly transitioning from fall, autumn to winter, you note that most trees has changed color. Not these guys, not the coniferous trees. Again, they stay green all year long, regardless of the season or the temperature. Again, easy to remember. Coniferous trees has needles and cones. Okay, some examples of coniferous trees are so much, but I'm gonna name three: cedar tree, pine tree, and spruce tree are all coniferous trees and forests. Okay, cedar, pine, and spruce trees. So all you tree experts and lovers out there, you should have an understanding of which is which and know which type of trees they are. But again, needle-like leaves and cones are coniferous trees and forests, which means that these guys, deciduous, deciduous trees or forests, are in a way opposite. Deciduous trees has leaves, but leaves that fall in autumn or in the fall season, or right now, I should say. They grow in all four seasons, or have them all four seasons in terms of where we live. Hot summers, short winters. They need good fertile soil to grow. So again, any trees where leaves are changing colors, or any trees that change colors in the fall season, and trees has leaves that fall to the ground, are deciduous trees. So as you're driving by and see a nice bright yellow or orange reddish tree, boom, that is a deciduous tree. Okay, deciduous tree. Trees that change colors based on its leaves, and trees that loses its leaves in the fall season. Again, these trees need good fertile soil to grow. What's interesting about these trees are that fewer and fewer of these trees are out there due to clear cutting, due to deforestation, uh, due to urban development. Okay, so as cities and communities starts to grow and expand, we need to chop down these trees and clear them out so that we can build homes, communities, and so forth. So again, that can be our negative consequences for deciduous trees. Again, some examples of deciduous trees are a maple tree, an oak tree, and a birch tree. Okay, just to name a few. There are so much more, but again, maple tree, an oak tree, and a birch tree are example of a deciduous tree or a forest. Okay, again, deciduous trees that change colors and loses its leaves. Very simple to remember. Okay, so hopefully now we are experts in trees, expert in forestry, and know our types of trees. Coniferous, cones, needle-like, deciduous, loses their leaves. Okay? Questions? Questions? Okay. So let's look at trees in terms of indigenous content. Okay, I think this is pretty interesting in terms of how indigenous, whether you're First Nation or Métis or so forth, all look at trees in terms of how they live their life, based on the circle of life in a way, in terms of their well-being. So, First Nation see a tree. So visualize a tree if you can't see my screen, where the trunk of the tree is the source of knowledge. Okay, the source of knowledge, source of knowing, and each branch within that tree has its own significant meaning. It could be spiritual and cultural factors. It could be one social factors, economic, political, and collective well-being. Okay, so as you branch out, each branch represent different uh, guidance in terms of how you live one life. Okay, again, it could be spiritual, social, economic, collective well-being, and political. In terms of your roots from below, it represents who you are in terms of family. Okay, it could be community, your nation, your ancestors, your traditions, your language. Something that I was taught in school was, what was it? 2L and 2Cs. Okay, when looking at indigenous content, always remember the 2Ls and the 2Cs, which stands for land, language, community, and culture. Okay, these were the two things that was really emphasized when I was studying during my undergrad in terms of indigenous contents, were the 2Ls and 2Cs. Okay, in other words, always remember who you are, where you came from, your family and your elders, your land that you live on, the land, your language, basically represents your identity, your community, which is like your hometown where you grew up or which community you are, and your values, your culture and traditions and your practice. Okay, so even though we're looking at trees, different types of trees, think of trees in terms of how we grow individually, grow as a community, uh, based on these values that we have. Again, all these values come from knowledge, the source of knowledge. Again, our parents, our elders, our teachers, our educators, and so forth. Okay, as each tree can grow to be big and strong and have many different branches that they can reach out. Again, endless, just endless opportunity of knowing and knowledge. Okay, so again, something that I like to plug in there as we talked about trees. Questions about that? Again, each First Nation or indigenous population has a different uh, variations of this. Something that I found, but it's very, very similar in terms of these factors. Ecozones. So last topic for tonight in a way. Ecozones. So what are ecozones? This is on page 48, by the way. So ecozones are defined as natural features, okay, natural features and human activities in one particular area. Okay, so we know that a region has one main characteristic in common. Again, it could be vegetation, it could be climate, it could be the population. Abundant ecozones may have one or have more than one defining factor. Okay, so it may have more than one defining factor. Hence why it includes natural features, okay, where it comes from nature and just naturally comes, and human activities, okay, what we do as individual in a particular area. So that is an ecozone, okay. An ecozone regards to like sustainable living, how we sustain, but also includes human activities and natural features, how we combine these features and how we live within these ecozones, a functioning ecozone. So relating that back into Canada, Canada has so many ecozones. Okay, we have 15 land-based ecozones and 5 marine-based ecozones. Okay, your textbook, starting on page 49, has a map of marine-based ecozones, and as you continue to look through your textbook, it tells you each ecozones in terms of its characteristics, uh, what's important about each one, and so forth. Again, there are 5 marine-based ecozones and 15 land-based ecozones. Again, Canada is a massive country. We have so many different provinces and territories and time zones and land formation. Again, but we can even break that down into ecozones, okay? Land-based and sea-based, marine-based, okay? 15 land-based and 5 marine-based. Obviously, we can sit here tonight and go through each one in great detail, but obviously we're not going to do that, okay? And again, I don't expect the class to know each one, okay? Don't feel overwhelmed right now that you need to know each characteristics and definition of each one in Canada, okay? That is not significant. That is not why we're here taking this course, okay? Uh, but just note some, okay? Just note some. Okay, again, I don't expect the class to know all of them, but look at a few, okay? Look at a few. So we are going to look at a few examples that I have taken shows that relates to our province in regards to Ontario. Uh, but you don't necessarily have to look at these examples, okay? But again, pick and choose whatever one sounds interesting that you want to analyze and explore. Choice is yours, okay? Choice is yours. Okay, so what we are going to focus on in regards to ecozones or couple factors is name. So note its name. Note the landform of each one, or the one that we want to explore and analyze. The climate, animals, what kind of animals live there, and human interference or human activities that impact that particular ecozone. Okay, so its name, the landform, the climate, the animal, and the human interference. So again, like I said, don't feel overwhelmed. I need to know each one. We're just gonna talk about a few examples. We'll talk more about this in regards to assignment 13. So we're gonna talk about the world shield. Okay, the world shield. So if you look on your map in terms of your legend, the world shield is this dark green shaded area. And you look on the map, it is this area. Okay, so anything that's dark green on your map, uh, is the Boreal Shield ecozone. Okay, a really big ecozone if you look at it on the map. It extends all the way from Alberta all the way to Newfoundland. It is the largest ecozone in Canada. Okay, the Boreal Shield. Climate, well, it has short, warm summers, cold winter. Okay, sound familiar? It has lots of forests and trees such as pine, spruce, and birch. Animals can include deer, black bear, raccoons, owls, and so much more. Lots of lakes, freshwater lakes. Great for transportation, great for fishing and outdoor activities. I know that people here in Silicon love fishing when it's nice out. Again, Silicon is located in the Boreal Shield. A lot of our communities up north is located in this ecozone of the Boreal Shield. Okay, hence why I picked it out. Okay, so again, note the climate: short, warm summer and cold winters. Lots of forests. Okay, hopefully all this sounds familiar within your community, because it definitely does here in Silicon. Okay, so that's the Boreal Shield, just for a little snapshot. The next ecozone that I have chosen was the Hudson Plains. Hudson Plains. Again, looking at our legend, is this yellow area. Hudson Plains. Mainly are our friends in Fort Severn and a bit below. Okay, Hudson Plains. It's parts of Manitoba and some of Quebec, but mainly northern Ontario. Okay, when I mean northern Ontario, and I mean absolutely northern Ontario. What's unique about this ecozone of the Hudson Plains is that it has limited vegetation and less trees. Less trees. Why? Because it's so cold. Not much can grow in this ecozone. Okay, not great for farming and vegetation. Bitter cold. Okay, blueberries, white spruce, geese, moose, bears, wetlands, but basically within this ecozone, not much is there. Okay, limited population, limited vegetation, and tree growth as well. Okay, but again, still lots of different types of animals within this ecozone. Okay, example of a marine-based ecozone. Okay, the Pacific. Okay, which is the west coast on the shore of BC. Some characteristics: rich and diverse ocean community, aquatic mammals, seal, otters, whales. Again, great for fishing, tourism, water activities. Because of that, it damaged the ecozone due to overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction. Okay, so again, each ecozone that's in your textbook, there's obviously pros and cons due to human interference. Could be overfishing, pollution. Okay, could be so much more. Okay, so again, take that into account. There's pros and cons to each one, where human and natural features and activities we take advantage of, but there are also some negative consequences as well. Okay, I think that's the last example I have in terms of ecozones. Again, your textbook talks about so much more. Again, go through some of them, some that affects you based on where you live in your community, what sounds interesting, that you want to explore and analyze. Okay, I'll leave that up to you. So let's go through assignment 13 before we call it a night. Assignment 13, 23 marks. Again, pretty straightforward. Question 1, what is a functional region? Again, more definitions. Okay, just definitions. Again, define it. Again, it's in your textbook. It's what we talked about in today's class in our lecture. What is a functional region? 2. Explain what is meant by the term weather and the term climate. Okay, so in a way, define weather and define climate. And tell me why they mean something different. Okay, how are they different? Don't just tell me the definition of each one, but then tell me why is it different. Okay, what's different about each term, weather and climate? How is weather and climate different? Okay, I get an example of short term and long term. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, take that into account. Okay, what is meant by the term weather, climate, and why do they mean something different? Okay, 3 marks. 3 marks. Next 2 questions talks about trees. What are the characteristics of coniferous trees? Again, needles and cones, hint hints. Question 4, characteristic of a deciduous trees. Trees that change colors and loses leaves, hint hints. Okay, simple 2 marks each right there. Okay, characteristics. Okay, don't have to give me all of them, but just the main characteristics of each one. 5, what is an ecozone? Okay, so define an ecozone. Not the names of them, but what is an ecozone in general? Okay, what is an ecozone? Okay, 2 marks. Again, just definitions, sentences, complete sentences, details for full marks. And lastly, you'll see a little charts. Again, feel free to use jot notes for this one. Don't have to write a whole paragraph or an essay for this one. There's not much room, so feel free just to use jot notes. This chart is out 12 marks, so make sure you do it. Basically, pick any 4 ecozones in your textbook. Okay, feel free to use the ones that we talked about in class. It could be absolutely any ecozones that you want. Okay, there are 19 of them. It could be land-based or marine-based or sea-based ecozones. Okay, but pick 4 again. Any 4 you want. Okay, this is your choice. This is your option. Then analyze it. Okay, analyze it. Okay, this column says the name, the location of the ecozone. Okay, so the name of the ecozone you chose and the location of it. Next column talks about its landforms. Okay, what landforms is that ecozone under? Its climate. Okay, is it hot, cold? What's the summer like? What's the winter like? Animals. List a few animals that live within that ecozone. And if there's any human interference, jot them down. Okay, some ecozone doesn't have any in regards to your textbook. If they do, make sure you jot it down. Okay, so again, feel free to use jot notes or point form for the charts. Pick any ecozone you want. Okay, not what I want, not what your friend wants. Any ecozone that you want. Then tell me its name, location, landforms, climate, animals, and any human interference if it's applicable. Okay? Again, all that is in your textbook. Okay? Again, if you need help with this, just give me a shout. We can work on it together so that we, again, get completed. Okay? So that right there, class, is assignment 13 for geography. Okay? Assignment 13 for geography. Okay, questions? Again, feel free to give me a call, send me an email, Facebook me if you need help, tutoring, or have any questions. Okay, remember I'm here to help, so I'm here for. Okay, awesome. So before we call it a night, again, just another announcement that I made earlier first in terms of today's class. Again, Next week, I'm doing my community visit for this term to Big Trouts. Again, excited, never been to Big Trouts. One of my personal goals is to go to all the communities at some point in time. But yes, on Tuesday and Wednesday, okay, October 25th, 26th, going to Big Trout with Barb Matuzik, which means that there will be class switches and flopping around. So Andrea will be doing Monday, Tuesday, PLAR English, 9 o'clock here in Sulaco. And I'll be doing Wednesday, Thursday, History Geography at 9 o'clock. Okay, so same time. Basically, Andrea and myself will just swap in Tuesday and Wednesday, and everything else is exactly the same. Okay, but again, Andrea, English, back to back Monday, Tuesday. I'll be back in time to do Wednesday night and Thursday night as well. Okay, again, I'll send an email out to your DC, send a reminder on my Facebook status, and so forth. Okay, any questions? Just let me know. But I think we'll stop it here for tonight. That is what's happening. Again, all my students out there in Big Trail, I look forward to seeing everyone. Again, we will be bringing lots of food and other items and goodies. So come on out to our open house. Bring your assignments if you need any help. We'll be helping, tutoring, and so forth. And I look forward to having a nice little tour of that community in Big Trail as well. Okay. I think I'll stop there for tonight. Have a good night. Be safe, stay warm, and I'll see everyone back here next week on Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, Wednesday and Thursday for history, geography with myself, Jonathan. Okay, have a good night. I'll see everyone in Big Trout if you're there. Thank you.